Welcome to the Digital Dreaming Off the Gridiron podcast. It is a beautiful Monday, and we have a lot to unpack for WWE Friday Night Smackdown, NFL, college football. But first and foremost, we'd like to start this episode by thanking all of our fans and all of you who have viewed our channel. We have now hit over 50,200 views. So thank you all so much. We have also now hit 120 subscribers. Thank you all for subscribing. Please continue to share. Cortez Branch Jr. also had his birthday over the weekend, so congrats. So actually, yeah, let me ask you first and foremost, my co-host with the most, 2-4, how was your birthday? Secondly, how we feeling? How we doing right now, baby? We out here on
We doing
50K.
good. We doing good. I will say I had some people pop up and they gave me a surprise party at the bar. I wasn't ready for it, even though I'm out there every week. I wasn't ready for it because working is a little bit different than just being
Yeah,
there for a party. You know what I mean? So I wasn't
yeah.
prepared and I was a little bit overwhelmed. But I think all in all it was good.
That's good shit, baby. But yeah, no, that's great to know. Happy birthday once again, bro. But yeah, let's just get right into it then. All right, so NFL. We'll actually start off from we'll do Friday Night SmackDown. Yeah, we'll start from the top. Friday Night SmackDown. Friday Night SmackDown was a banger. I actually watched it in full. I didn't actually skim through. Starting off with LA Knight versus Carmelo Hayes for the U.S. title, and then Carmelo Hayes is now basically being at stipulation against Andrade because now they're tied at 3 apiece for the next in line for the U.S. title contendership. Roman Reigns and Jimmy Uso actually opening up the show. Roman Reigns and Jimmy first coming out, the Roman coming out, and then obviously the whole segment of, Jimmy has to acknowledge, Jimmy acknowledges Roman, and then Roman stating that that we are still the ones, and then Jimmy stating, but we're not though, right? He's like, because I'm seeing a chief without no tribe. I'm looking, we've lost our glory. You don't have the Ulafala, so all of these elements in that promo just made it so delicious in terms of a build-up. And we'll get into the main event, which is what was kind of you start off the show with the tribal chief, you end the show with the bloodline. But obviously some other highlights, Cody Rhodes coming out. Once KO came out, cut that heel promo, basically, then Cody coming out, and then Randy getting involved in the mix, and then Randy trying to separate the two. Randy basically trying to separate KO. Randy then basically punching KO in the face. And then essentially, then from that perspective, KO then basically stating, kicking Randy backstage, saying, you want to pick sides, this and that. So now, obviously, like that sets up a Randy KO match. And I'm not sure what Cody's going to be doing, but he might just kind of, be in the background as that kind of unfolds. Obviously, KO is probably getting that heel turn against Randy and Cody's faces. And then
Probably,
probably, yeah. And
but
what was the last? Yeah, talk to me.
I think so. I'm gonna back up just a minute.
Go ahead.
That first bloodline segment was golden.
Yes, sir.
I call it the bloodline segment because it's the entire story is the bloodline story. I really wish people would understand that. Um,
100%.
Even what's going on with Jey Uso is still the bloodline story. I didn't get to read this yet, so people don't ruin it for me, and I'm not going to ruin it for us. Maybe we'll jump back at it later if one of us wants to look it up. But I was looking at Twitter before we started. Both of us were a little bit late. We had a couple things going on. We had to handle. We're like big boys because we big
Yeah.
boys. You see, champs,
Yes,
champs. You know what
baby.
I'm saying?
U.S.
Um,
champs.
you know, and I like the fact that Carmelo Hayes said he was going to bring the spinner belt back if he beat LA Knight. Like
Hey.
we know that's not going to happen right now. Okay, but
No.
that's also planting a seed to where I will say this because we're talking about wrestling. Wrestle Dream got one thing right, and I think AEW gets one thing right, and the fact that they do like to do a lot of interchangeable title belts.
Mm-hmm.
And and what I mean by that is like certain champions, like your boy MJF. I don't know why he didn't sign that contract with WWE,
Mm-hmm.
but that's for another day, I guess. But your boy MJF, he likes to do weird title belt stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like he changed the inner what was it? The not intercontinental. It was the what did they call it?
Gosh, not TNT, something else. International, is that what it's called?
I think yeah, the international title.
International
And
heavyweight title, yeah, that's what they
yeah,
call it.
and MJF changed it into the American Championship.
Ah!
Now that was a beautiful title belt. Like I will give it to AEW on some of their belt designs. Some of their belt designs are absolutely gorgeous. But that's just as a belt collector. It doesn't really matter if the belt is looked at as trash, because the other international champion, I don't something they have the Continental champion, not the international champion, the Continental champion, which is Kazuchika Okada. He has a beautiful title belt.
Mhm.
It reminds me a lot of the undisputed title. Like you have your phone in front of you.
My phone is basically used to record this podcast.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say I would have you look it up. But when you get a chance, look up Kazuchika Okada's Continental AEW title. It's a very beautiful title belt. Unfortunately, it doesn't really mean too much in the wide world of wrestling. Like nobody really cares. And I'm not saying that having a championship is meaningless, because it means something in their stories, but nobody really cares about that one. So moving on. Moving on, obviously. You we bring up the Roman Reigns is given the promo of his life.
My gosh. Jimmy
We
too.
are the ones. And the Jimmy
Yes,
says,
sir.
but we not though. And
Oh.
Roman just looked at him like, already, Jimmy? Like the look he gave him was just like, already? Like you've been back 1 week? Already arguing with me? But then he let him, Jimmy said, and Roman looked at him, he was like, that's how you knew it was cool. So he says to him, we're not the ones. You know, we haven't been. And he says, we need some help. Like it's just me and you standing around here, and you are a tribal chief, my tribal chief, but you don't have a tribe. So look around, it's just me and you. No wise man, no brother. Little brother thinks he's the tribal chief. Got the Tongan cousins with him. So there's gonna be some fun stuff, because I didn't read it yet, but the word that was given us on the street was that The Rock has already shot down a triple threat rumor as far as creative goes. And when The Rock says stuff like that, he's not kidding. So I think I might have been right in my assumption that they're not going to build this triple threat. It's going to be something else.
Well, I mean, so actually, let me rewind even further than that. We were both right in the prediction. You actually were right. I was not in the prediction of kind of when Jimmy said we need help, everyone was saying yeet, 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 right? And I
Yeah.
think Roman or someone said no yeet. I forgot who did, but basically, the yeet basically means that essentially, Jay again, and this is where I struggle, but I think kind of this is kind of to your earlier point. When Jay became IC champion, when we did that episode a few weeks ago, you basically brought up the point that Jay can be re-injected back into the Bloodline storyline by basically what we just saw. Jimmy saying we need help. You actually said that on that podcast, and that's literally what just happened. Jimmy literally went out in front of 25 to 30,000 people and in front of millions on national TV to say, to tell Roman, my tribal chief, you're still my tribal chief, but we need help, which means we need Jay. So I'm wondering, and my question is, will Jay basically either lose the belt or basically come back as a one-off, or how are they going to re-inject Jay into the storyline? And there's different creative liberties they can take. Obviously, LA Knight is a phenomenal U.S. champion. Carmelo Andrade had definitely had a bunch of banger matches, so maybe they can interchange those two. For Raw versus SmackDown. But to the point, man, it's very exciting. To see what happens
Can we
next.
do a skip ahead, because we're okay? So guys, understand that WWE show is a very linear show, but there's interwoven storylines inside the linear part of the show. So we can jump to another part of the storyline like they used to do during the Thunderdome days. And that's that part of that storyline that I'm going to jump in is, can we please give some credit to Jimmy Uso and Solo in that match?
We absolutely have to because I
That
mean,
was such a good
golly,
match.
that was such a good match, and I loved how they finished it with Solo on top. Still with Ulafala, because that tells you that the storyline's not finished. It kind of reaffirms the promo of we need help. Um,
At the end
you
of the
know,
night, did you hear what Jimmy was saying when they were rolling around on the mat?
what?
I don't think I've ever heard a mic that live on the mat. And Jimmy was looking at Roman. He was saying, "We need him.
We need him.
We need him." And Roman did say "no yeet" in the promo to the fans. I know that wasn't scripted. I know it wasn't
Absolutely
scripted.
wasn't. Yeah, absolutely wasn't. It was improv.
I know it wasn't scripted, but I think that adds to the season. Like I think, okay, let's go back and say and say and I don't remember exactly which number episode this was that we said this on, but you said it and I said it too, and I have to say it again. Fans that hate Roman Reigns, why? Roman Reigns is one of the greatest new generation superstars, this new generation superstars that we have, and he can hold his own in any era. The current Roman Reigns and the big, not the big dog, but the current tribal chief that we've had for the last 4 years, and the guy that we see in front of us, that guy can go toe to toe with anyone in WWE history. And I think you guys need to understand that there's only a handful of those guys that can go toe to, like, people are going to be mad at me for saying this, but you said it the last one. Guys like Bob Backlund and even Andre the Giant cannot go toe to toe in this era. They cannot. There would otherwise we have like Great Khali and Omos would be more than just Hall of Famers. They'd be greatest of all time. And you can't tell me that Omos couldn't go more than Andre.
Right.
I mean, we're being realistic here. We're not just talking about the story that Vince created. We're talking about the facts here. You can't tell me Omos isn't a better professional wrestler than Andre was.
Absolutely. No. And that's exactly the point. I mean, there's definitely levels to this shit. And I think kind of to your point, right? I mean, there's a level of technicality, a level of skill, degree of skill, which we don't see, with some of these wrestlers as opposed to wrestlers of the past.
Right.
But with
Like,
that
and this is
said,
why guys like Brett and Sean, when they came, this is why they changed wrestling for the better. And like they both deserve a whole lot of credit for it. They made it to where you got two little guys putting on the show of a lifetime against each other over and over and over again to the point of where we're still talking about the Montreal Screwjob today. And I'm done talking about it right now because this SmackDown was so good. The women's match was good, and that's not always true.
yeah,
The it had the right spots, it had the right build up, it had the right characters thrown in. It wasn't five women standing in a row on SmackDown like it used to be for like 8 years. Think about it. Think about all the SmackDown segments for that period of like the dark ages of WWE. Again, when you have five random SmackDown women standing in a row on SmackDown and no wrestling, and then guess what? Five women standing in a row on SmackDown. That's not what we like to see. What we got to see was a masterly crafted episode. We got the interruption by KO and Cody and Randy Orton of a debuting tag team. So not only do you have the debuting tag team get an entrance, but you also had them actually care. Like that's the one thing I'll say about Vince is that middle Vince era is like things started happening and just no one cared. Like I remember the Attitude Era and the Ruthless Aggression era, there was always reactions from stuff that happened. And then the era that was after that was like, are we just gonna pretend that like none of this just happened right in front of us? Because if somebody interrupts your promo, you're not just gonna turn around and walk away. You're gonna be, especially if it's somebody big like a CM Punk or a Roman or Cody, you're gonna be pissed because this is your turn to shine. He just took it from you. And they're showing that emotion and they're showing that outrage, like, we got a match. What are y'all doing? This ain't y'all turn right now. And then you have the women's tag team champions come out, and they put on another banger of a match. I
Yeah,
actually thought that Jay and Bianca might lose the match.
yeah.
Like, you guys don't know this about us, but we don't text back and forth during every show. We'll take our time to watch certain shows, but that night we were live. We were
Oh
watching.
yeah.
I'm talking about we're texting back and forth, and we're
Oh
like, dude,
man.
we're gonna talk about this.
You know,
Show was good.
the only reason why we're not leading off with the Niners and the KC Chiefs preview was because of how good SmackDown was. I loved it. Obviously, no Rock. So obviously, that's to be expected. The Rock is a pay-per-view kind of, kind of monstrosity attraction. Eventually, he will come back, and there is going to be some level of it. Whether Rock is going to be solo or whatever. But yeah, we'll see. I really enjoy the show. Now moving onwards, man. Let's you talk about AEW. I don't want to pivot, but I do want to pivot a bit. Tony Khan tweeted that AEW Wrestle Dream was the greatest show, I believe he said. One of the greatest pay-per-views that he ever put together. And thank you all for supporting and everything. He basically, AEW has a great list of pay-per-views, string of pay-per-views. And we talked about Tony Khan at length last time. I'm not saying he's out of touch of reality. I also know he's a businessman, so he has to market his product. So where does that leave us in terms of kind of what Tony actually, you know what I mean? Like, what is Tony really trying to say here? Like, was Wrestle Dream really that good? Because I don't know. I didn't watch it. I'm not paying for AEW. I'm sorry. But I really just don't know how Wrestle
Yeah,
Dream
I
stacks.
stopped. I stopped. I think I texted you that I was watching it, and then like the conclusion of 0 Hour was horrible. Like, even the Kyle O'Reilly, like even that little interaction with Kazuchika Okada, I was just like, both of y'all should be better than this. Like, this was terrible. Y'all could have
Yeah,
saved that.
yeah.
Remember when everybody said that Kazuchika Okada was the greatest wrestler in the world?
Oh yeah, they still do some of them. Your face says it all.
Like, I liked Okada in Japan, but even when he was in Japan, I still said that Kenny Omega was better than him.
Right.
I believe that Kenny Omega is one of the greatest wrestlers in the world.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that there's any. I don't think there's any doubt about that. I think that the best the best thing that'll work for me for AEW is if, one, they get Kenny Omega back, and two, they need to hire some better writers. Like, I know that he doesn't really like hiring old writers, but like, some of those old writers still got it.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I think Tony being head writer, like we talked about last time, it's too much responsibility on his and weight on his shoulders. So I'm assuming that if he says it's the best show ever, not only is it a reflection of AEW as a brand, it's a reflection of him and his writing skills, his quote unquote creative genius. And the more I think about it, I guess maybe there were some kind of bright spots. Brian Danielson as AEW champion and some matches here and there. But honestly, I can't really think. Like you and I talked about it. Like there's the whole pay per view was a throwaway card. So I know Tony's trying to promote his brand and trying to promote his product. But yeah, pretty much. I don't know.
Yeah, the last episode we talked about the card, and we all agreed that. I mean, well, it's just me and you, but you know what? I like to think that the people that watch our show tend to agree with us on a lot of things. Maybe not everything, but I like to think that after so long of watching us, you'd see that, like, we don't really have a lot of bad takes. And
Yeah, yeah. Well, we've actually received some feedback. We haven't received any negative feedback. So most people are watching. They're probably the silent majority. Like what they said, the silent majority agrees. That's where we're at. Silent majority agrees with us. I appreciate y'all watching.
AEW is supposed to be a promotion where it's more Bret Hart than Shawn Michaels, right?
Yeah,
More WCW than WWF.
100%.
Turner Broadcasting, was now it's Time Warner, but still Turner Broadcasting. Let's be TBS. What do you think that stands for? It was Turner. It's Turner Broadcasting Station. Okay, guys. TNT.
Right.
It started off as Turner News Television.
Yeah, and it's Turner Network Television, I think, or whatever.
Yeah,
So.
that's Turner Network Television and Turner Broadcasting Station. So I want to explain this the best way that I possibly can to you guys. One of the biggest things that we hated about Bret Hart's departure from the WWF was the fact that he went out by refs calling the bell. So he didn't tap out. He didn't get pinned. But that was the end of his WWF career. Let's be honest. Those 2 matches he had when he came back meant nothing. Those 2000s matches, those late 2000s matches, they didn't mean anything.
Right.
One of them was against Vince for the United States Championship. This United States Championship. You remember he had a match against Vince for this.
Yeah, for that exact belt, not this belt. That belt my partner is wearing on his shoulder. Because but
so with that being said, why would you have WWF's Daniel Bryan and real life Bryan Danielson? Why would you have him end his career via chokeout?
Yeah, that doesn't make sense.
You don't put over Moxley as a credible champion because you didn't pin him. You didn't submit him with your submission move. You choked him out. And don't get me wrong, that's understandable for some types of wrestling, but you don't really retire one of the legends with a chokeout.
That's exactly the point. Well, and I mean, Moxley's not really a technical wrestler. He's more hardcore. And Daniel Bryan is a technical mastermind, technical master, of the mat, and similar to a Benoit, similar to, all the technical greats like Angle. And so it's kind of interesting how they kind of decided to go with that. Maybe Bryan is the one who asked for the finish. I don't know who booked it. Well, we know who booked it. We just talked about him. But, but I mean, it's interesting because, yeah, Moxie's over. I just don't. I mean, I'm not tuned into AEW, so I don't know what is the obsession. You watch it more than me, so keep me honest here. What is Moxley like a marquee attraction? Is there what is the reason for Moxley holding the belt so many times?
You know what the reason is. Moxley has popularity for 2 reasons. Number one, he was the main mouthpiece of the Shield, and he was kind of good at it. Number 2, after the Shield was over, he was the loose cannon that came from the Shield. Everybody else was kind of on their own, but he was a loose cannon. You could pretty much throw him in any feud. He's gonna have a decent match. He's gonna bring vitriol, but he'd also do the wacky things, and that's the reason he left the company is because he was starting to turn into a wackier character than the Austin style character. He didn't like that. He wanted to be viewed up as a cross between Austin and Raven, in my opinion.
So I agree. That's kind of his whole look, his whole shtick. It's like a cross between Austin and Raven. Is that the appeal? Because Austin and Raven are 2 of my favorite all-time wrestlers. And
the appeal is that outlier, that anti-hero. That's the appeal of his characters. He might be a bad guy, but he's not a bad guy,
Mm-hmm. Okay.
He might be a bad, because let's face the facts. Austin was a bad guy, but he wasn't a bad guy.
Austin was the greatest anti-hero in the history of sports entertainment.
Yeah.
Austin obviously redefined, I mean, they say he's a bad guy, but he's really the good guy, the working man's hero, Because here's the truth, man. When you work in, 9 to 5, most of the times, and I can attest to this, you have someone telling you to do something and you don't want to fucking do it. Because the fact that it's just it's so tedious, mundane, repetitive, redundant. And if you challenge it, that could mean your job. And the truth of the matter is, everyone's seeing someone stand up and challenge authority really redefined how, how not only wrestling, but how culture and society was then shifting.
Right.
Still, we're still in a very corporate. I mean, you have to. I mean, the truth of the matter is, you can't attack your boss in real life. You can't do any of that shit in real life. But going to a show and seeing someone do that, having that power, and speaking up for the man, sticking it to the man, or like the Fed to Austin against Vince. That's what made pro wrestling gravitate. That's what made everyone that surge, the surge in the popularity. I just don't understand Mox's appeal. I'm still not. I mean, I appreciate you explaining it. I still don't see it. I mean, I watched him when it was Dean Ambrose. I watched him when he was, first starting off as AEW champion. I watched him do the whole thing with Darby Allin, that match where he like went in front of the camera and said, "Yeah, that kid's gonna be great," this and that. While he's covered in blood, the blading, all that kind of stuff. I don't get the appeal. So whatever. I mean, AEW has a lot invested to him. AEW has a lot invested to him. So I mean, I don't understand how a guy is like a 3 to 4 time world champion in less than like 4 years, but more power to him. Okay, moving on. Yeah, so AEW, back to the point. AEW Dream, what was it? Dream what? What was the name of the show? Dream
Wrestle Dream.
Wrestle Dream. Okay.
Yeah, Wrestle Dream.
I'm really tuned out. I'm really tuned out.
I'm mad about it, man. Like, I'm just gonna keep it real with you. I'm mad about it. I watched a little bit of a recap of them supposed to have. I wanted to see if Bobby Lashley was going to debut with the Hurt Syndicate,
and he did. And he didn't.
And he didn't. And they said the reasoning behind that may have been the fact that it was already a jumbled show with a bunch of returns. And Tony Khan, dude, why do you keep making mistakes? Bobby Lashley's biggest star in his company, other than Kenny Omega.
Right.
Who in that company is bigger than Bobby Lashley, other than Kenny Omega?
That's a good point.
Who in that company, other than Danielson and, Danielson, Jericho, and Moxley were all world champion. Do they have anybody else that was? Billy Gunn was never world champion. Jake the Snake Roberts is old and doesn't wrestle. I can't think of any other main eventers other than the women's side with Mercedes Moné. She is their champion. Sasha Banks for WWE people. Ruby Riott doesn't do anything. Paige doesn't do anything. Which is, I think they're just being penalized for being WWE wrestlers. Oh, Samoa Joe does stuff over there. But Samoa Joe's been champion everywhere, so it doesn't really count.
Right. No, absolutely. I just think kind of to the point, man. I just think it's AEW is just kind of like it's an amalgamation of a lot of talent from WWE. A lot of talent that's homegrown, but I'm just not interested. I don't. Fuck. I'm tired of talking about this. I'm losing my energy. All right, moving on. Yeah, SmackDown.
We gotta move on.
Okay.
We gotta move on.
Yeah, SmackDown. Let's talk about SmackDown.
LA Knight, Carmelo Hayes.
LA Knight. Yeah. All right, man. That was great match. LA Knight, great finish. Carmelo Hayes now basically going towards going for what do you call that? The trilogy, or there's a word for
6-2
rubber match. Rubber match with Andrade, and I guess whoever wins that match will probably be challenging for the U.S. title either at SmackDown or on Survivor Series. I like LA Knight as champion. It's unfortunate that The Rock did not debut, but I'm looking forward to seeing once The Rock kind of re-injects himself into the picture, and obviously hopefully LA Knight can get some segments with The Rock just back and forth. Now I like the KO stuff and Randy kind of that stuff. Randy staying face. It's kind of interesting. Randy being a face at this point in his career, not being a heel, but I guess whatever, maybe that's what he wants. So Randy is staying a face, back of Cody. KO is basically turning heel. So I mean, everyone wants KO to be heel. Now they're getting that, so it's good. And yeah, like you said, the women's kind of dynamic with Liv Morgan helping Naomi get the pin on Nia Jax. Now she has a championship opportunity, and obviously Liv versus Nia for Crown Jewel will be interesting. Rhea Ripley also had a little segment in there too.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty good too.
I mean,
Yeah, no,
that was like makes me interested in the story.
yeah.
Like that story was very interwoven. Like it's got Nia telling Tiffy to go for Liv Morgan's title. It's telling Liv Morgan that she's a target, but at the same time, one of them has the opportunity to win that championship. Now, if you're Tiffy, you're thinking my best opportunity to win 2 titles is against Liv Morgan. Because I don't see why Tiffy wouldn't turn and say, "Well, Nia, you're gonna help me."
Yeah, that
And that's
would make
basically
sense.
what Nia promised to do. It's easier if Nia does all the work and Tiffany cashes in on Liv. That would also get Tiffy away from the SmackDown title scene because she doesn't need to be there.
Yeah, I don't know though, because I wonder if they're setting up for a double cross. I wonder if Tiffy, I mean, they're building this slow momentum of Tiffy cashing out Nia. You saw traces of it at Bad Blood. So I wonder if at some point, like to your point and kind of to what we're seeing, will Tiffy basically be pitted against Nia on a pay-per-view event, and will she have an opportunity to cash in? Will she successfully cash in? And the follow to that.
Well,
That's
what's
what
it called? Crown Jewel is gonna be where she's gonna have an opportunity for either champion. And
yeah, so
I would think that if it's a WWE thing to do, they're gonna have her cash in on Nia because they want to turn her
right.
face.
Mm-hmm.
But she's not a good face. She's a much better heel.
Right.
And I think that Liv is not a heel, even though she's with the Judgment Day. She's not a heel because she gets fan pop no matter what she does.
Right.
I know Rhea Ripley's not a heel, but I think Rhea's story is kind of, you know, with kind of over with Liv right now.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that the Raquel Rodriguez or Gonzalez, Triple H couldn't make his mind up on what he wanted to call her, but the Raquel Rodriguez, the Raquel situation is going to heat up too because, she's not just going to be there to make sure that Liv keeps her title. She might do that for a little while, but eventually she's going to have her match with Rhea. She's probably going to beat Rhea, whether people want to hear it or not. She's probably going to beat Rhea. She's one of Triple H's favorite superstars.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, there's gonna be lots of layers to this now. It'll be interesting. I mean, I thought it was a really bold move to make Raquel come back as a heel because she was such a over. She wasn't really over as face, but they liked her as a face because she was so powerful. But it makes sense to pair with Liv because Liv and Raquel were tag champions. So I mean, yeah, I don't know. That's really I mean, you raised a lot of good points. It's gonna be interesting to see how it plays out, and I'm actually more intrigued now that you raise it. So yeah, SmackDown was great. Yeah, Raw, we'll see what happens tonight. And yeah, we'll go from there. So now let's pivot over to NFL. The 49ers, you guys see the hat right here? Yes, sir. Are now undisputed first place in the NFC West with the Green Bay Packers thrashing the Cardinals. I look at this from 2 perspectives. One, it's great that the Niners are still in first place after starting off kind of slow at 3-3. But 2, Niners could easily be 5-1. I mean, if they beat the Rams, they beat the Cardinals. Those would be 2 winnable games.
Be 5-1,
and they should be 5-1. But that's the business. So Niners are 3-3. Stay on top of the NFC West. KC comes to town. We'll talk about that in a bit. And your Chicago Bears, the Caleb Williams, thrashed the Jacksonville Jaguars in London, Now you have Detroit, who also thrashed the Cowboys in Dallas, 47-9. So you have the Minnesota Vikings sitting on top of the NFC North at 5-0, the only undefeated team left in the NFC. You got the Detroit Lions sitting right up there. I think was it 4-1? Is that right? Or 5-1? Or is it
I think it was
4-2?
like that. I think it was something
Something
like
like
that.
that. Yeah, 4-1. Yeah. So I mean, Tom Brady is stating that that Detroit is the best team he's seen all year, and then obviously now you got the Chicago Bears right up that mix at 4, and the Bears and the Packers both at 4-2. So the NFC North actually is the best division of football this year. So
Yes, it
Mike,
is.
let me ask you, what is your take on the NFC North, and what is your take on this last weekend of football? And talk to me.
So Green Bay did their thing, and the NFC North looks great. This is, I think, the first time that I've seen where an entire division might go to the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
How would that look?
Not sure. That would look like
Because that
Minnesota
basically what
number.
happens is they would get the wild card spots. They would get a wild card spot or a first rounder, and then the division champion would all automatically go straight through, right?
Yeah, well, I don't know. Well, yeah, there are 7 playoff spots. Yeah, that's how it would work. It basically be if every team in the NFC North has a higher record than every other division, then all 3 teams would go through. Yes, all 4 teams would go through. Rather, it would be the Vikings, the Lions for the first wild card, the Packers, I think, for second, the Bears are for third wild card spot. That would be very interesting.
Now, mind you, the NFL is the NFL, and football is football. And I notice I said it that way on purpose. With NFL is the NFL and football is football. But I don't see it beyond the realm of possibility. The way that these teams are playing, like, look, guys, the Bears can easily be 5-0, easily be 5-0, or 6-0. They can be 6-0 right now, easily, no problem whatsoever. They can easily be 6-0. Same as I think San Francisco could be 5-1 or 6-0.
Absolutely.
There are some teams that are suspect, like Washington. I'm not saying that Washington's a bad team at all. They're a great team, but I think that it's Washington and they're suspect. Just like I can say the Bears are a little bit suspect sometimes too. But from what I've seen from the Bears, that defense ain't suspect. They have the number 1 ranked secondary in the NFL right now.
And they're playing like it.
And they're playing like it. They have the most takeaways in the last 2 years. For 2 years straight, the Bears lead the league in takeaways for 2 years straight.
I think this year Green Bay's leading the league in takeaways, turnovers. So it's interesting
Bears
though.
overtook them.
Oh wow,
it's 44 and 46, I believe.
Holy shit! Yeah, I think honestly, yeah, go ahead.
So I think we just saw Dallas get exposed, and I do not think they recover as easily from that. But the way that the NFC looks right now, the 49ers are definitely looking like the 1 seed in their division.
Yeah.
And I don't think that anybody is going to be able to change that in their division.
Well, and here's another thing to consider. The 49ers, I was talking to a coworker about today. He was saying to me that he thinks the 49ers can still make it back to the Super Bowl. And he's not, by the way, mind you, this is a Dallas Cowboys fan. He's not a 49ers fan by any means. He has no dog in the fight of the 49ers succeeding, right? But he said that he thinks the 49ers are getting healthy because now that they got Kittle back, he says once Christian McCaffrey comes back, he says that he thinks that once the team basically gets that back end of the season, which is when CMC is slated to come back in November, 49ers can definitely enjoy a great time or have a great season. So, yeah. I mean, anyways, with that said, I'm looking forward to seeing how the 49ers compete and contend. Now, let's get into that kind of main topic. I was looking forward to the marquee matchup of the next weekend. This Kansas City Chiefs coming to town to
Before you
take
do that,
on
did
the.
anybody else really impress that way that we saw? I can't. I
No, not really. I mean,
like
Justin
Spencer
Fields and the
Rattler's
Steel.
first game was okay.
Yeah, Justin Fields, the Steelers whooped on the Raiders, big whoop, 32-13. I mean, it's the Raiders.
Baker Mayfield was Baker Mayfield, and Joe Burrow was Joe Burrow. That was great.
Yeah, I
Um,
mean, Baker Mayfield destroys the Saints. Joe Burrow, obviously, I mean, that was kind of like a good game, but it was a tight score. Not really an impressive win against the Giants, a 1-4 team. Like now I
yeah,
guess the Bengals are 2-4, but yeah, no one really impressed, honestly, outside of the kind of, I would say I was a Detroit, Green Bay, Chicago. I didn't watch KC. Actually, I think KC had no kill. KC's on bye week. Oh fuck. So
Casey's
yeah,
on bye. Yeah, they didn't play at
yeah,
all.
that sucks because that means now I have to take them face them coming off a bye. And yeah, no, I think that's it. Yeah, I think that those are the only kind of major ones that stuck out to me.
Yeah, I didn't care nothing
No,
about nothing Miami did.
yeah, I didn't care about Miami. Obviously, Houston they blew out for somebody. I mean, don't really care about that either. But yeah, no, I think that's pretty much it. So yeah, no, I think those are the major kind of major performers over the weekend from these teams' performances. Now let's talk about the matchup heading into Week 7, the marquee matchup, America's game of the week, the Kansas City Chiefs taking on the San Francisco 49ers. The Chiefs are coming in town, coming in at 5-0, undefeated. Niners, obviously, like we mentioned, 3-3. Both teams are leading the division. And Niners are top of the NFC West. KC leading the AFC West. KC is a little banged up. Niners obviously have been banged up since the season started, but KC has still found ways to win very close games. But they haven't looked all that much impressive, but they found ways to win. What are you looking forward to in this matchup? I mean, what are the kind of key elements that you think are going to define the game? And what are you? I mean, with all that said, we talk about predictions.
Well, Andy Reid and his team and the Kansas City front office is really good at finding new talent and also reusing talent that they had before and giving them new life.
Yeah,
Um, they keep on bringing back people that were gone for a couple of years, and they bring them back, and they just play like they never left.
right.
And also finding new guys to fill roles. But so is San Francisco, and I think that San Francisco has a much more physically dominating team than Kansas City. Is Patrick Mahomes the best quarterback on earth right now? In a lot of ways, yeah. I think he's the guy that's like the heir apparent to Brady doing his thing. There's always a guy that steps up. You know what I mean? And I think there are other guys that are willing to challenge for it. But I think that right now you got to take it from Patrick. Beating him would help, just like it helped Eli.
Right.
You know what I mean? Beating him will help. You will remove the stigma of being afraid of him. That helps your entire team. But I kind of think that like if anyone's gonna do that, especially in like a season game, I gotta bet on Brock Purdy. He's not afraid of anything.
100%. 100%. No,
I,
I
I'm
totally
I'm
agree.
gonna call upset. I'm gonna say San Francisco wins this game.
Wow. What's your final score prediction?
27-24.
27-24.
I
Wow.
think San Francisco tries to control the ball by leaving it on the ground.
I hope so. Chris Jones is a menace. That secondary, although without Snead, still looks pretty good. Chiefs are still finding ways to win without Kelsey being like Kelsey, and Xavier Worthy looks great. Obviously, Rasheed Rice is out for the season. So I mean, and obviously, Pacheco's out, right? I think for like a good portion of the season. Now they have Kareem Hunt in the mix coming off his couch. Yeah, I mean, the Niners, obviously they have Mahomes and Andy Reid's 21-3 coming out bye weeks. All the odds should be in the Chiefs' favor because the Niners are still haven't shown that much this year. But I'm gonna still pick the Niners. I'm hoping that they build off of this momentous win against Seattle. They use this mini bye week, this 10-day week of rest and recovery to come out and bring their best game to the gridiron. So I'm going to go with 49ers. Yeah, 27-24 sounds reasonable. I might even go lower score than that. I might go 21-17. But in order to get 21-17, the defense is going to have to play a much more concerted effort. I'm really happy with how they played in Seattle to close out that game, but I didn't like how they played in that third quarter when they let Gino and DK get back into it, and they let DK have an uncontested touchdown. The only thing that prevented that touchdown was DK stepped on the white lines. So we need to see a lot better pass secondary. We need to see a lot better, front four rushing. We need to see a lot more from the linebacking core. And so I'm looking forward to the Niners kind of doing that. If the Niners can do that, then they'll be in a better position to, obviously win the game. So I'm going to go Niners, 21-17. Again, like last week, am I confident in that pick? Absolutely not.
I think that you and me are on the same page with this. That like this is one of those games that's gonna break Vegas. And I'm choosing the 49ers because they're not favored, number one. And number two, if you don't like Brock Purdy, you don't like American football.
Right.
It doesn't mean he needs to be your favorite quarterback. Even if he's your rival, you got to respect him. You know what I mean? Like, you might be like, hey, man, screw you. But you respect the fact that, hey, that man's good. You know what I'm saying? And I think Brock's proven that he belongs as their franchise quarterback. And I think that stigma of being Mr. Relevant needs to disappear right now. Game after game after game after game, he's the best player on the field. You got Debo out there. You got Ayuk out there. You got and you have McCaffrey whenever he comes back, if he comes back, because plantar fascia is no joke. But if he comes back, you got him out there, and I just gotta say it, Brock is still outshining these guys, and not that there's a competition between you and your own teammates, but Brock looks like the leader of the team. Brock's growing into this role, and every week, just like some of the other guys we talked about earlier tonight, he proves himself as a winner in this league. And I'm going to go with the upset. I'm going with the 49ers, 27-24.
That's massive points you just made. I mean, and that's one of the things that's really interesting because a lot of the talking heads like to discredit Brock because of the fact that, I think his draft position, they say the system, they say Shanahan. But truth be told, I don't believe Brock is a game manager. I believe Brock is a game changer. Truth be told, I don't think Shanahan is the reason for Brock's success. I think Brock is actually the reason for Shanahan's success. And I can cite both playoff wins last season for the Super Bowl when Brock had to bring the team back down when Shanahan was previously 0-36 heading into the fourth quarter down 8 points or more. Brock was able to help the Niners win both of those games. Heading into and so Brock Purdy, in my opinion, and I've seen it time and time again, he is literally the future of the NFL. If not already, if he hasn't established himself as the man now, he is definitely making that make it known that he will be here for a while. And with that said, my coworker, who also is a Cowboys fan, stated that he expects Brock Purdy to win a Super Bowl. I also fully expect Brock Purdy to win a Super Bowl, and I fully expect him, if he doesn't win this year, he's going to win in the next 5 to 10 years. And whether or not Kyle Shanahan is there is a different story. I believe in Brock Purdy. I believe the Niners will win this game as well, 21-18.
Say his name, and he appears. I believe in Brock Purdy.
Hey! Check out the pipes! Only on the DDOG podcast by Mr. Cortez Brandt Jr. So yeah, y'all, we got the Niners winning this game against Kansas City. Obviously since Dallas got shellacked, looking forward, Cowboys coming to town after KC. I think the Niners should handle that game. Then the Niners will be on the bye week. Worst possible case scenario, they lose to KC. They beat Dallas, in my opinion. They head to the bye 4-4. Best case scenario, if they can beat KC and if they can beat Dallas into the bye, Cortez, the Niners started last year 5-0, and then they ended 5-3 heading into the second half of the season. The Niners, if they beat KC, take care of business against Dallas, they will still be 5-3, just like last season.
Just like last season. And we said that around game 6, game 5 and 6, we'll start to see what teams are real and what teams aren't. And I think we're at that point in this season. And I think if anybody tries to talk about Brock Purdy negatively, they need to stop watching football. And there are things that every quarterback does that annoys you. But Brock Purdy's a winner, and we've seen that he's lost all of those star players you guys talk about. He's lost them. They've not shown up, and he still may do. And they're still on top of their division right now. And you know what? Even if I wasn't keen on the Bears dropping Justin Fields to draft Caleb Williams, Justin Fields out there winning. He's happy. Caleb Williams is out there winning. He's happy. Mike Tomlin's out there giving interviews about why you need to coach players the right way. They're happy. It's a win-win for the league. The league's better with these guys, and I think that we're blessed and lucky to be witnessing it. And I can't wait to see what happens the rest of the week. Still think Thursday night football is garbage, but hey, sounds like we got a game to watch right now.
Yeah, yes, sir. We're gonna watch Monday Night Football. But anyways, y'all, Thursday night, so once again, recap, Friday Night Smackdown was a hit. Wrestle Dream was a dud. Week 5 was a masterclass. Sorry, Week 6 was a masterclass for the Niners and the Bears. And lastly, most certainly not least, heading into Week 7, Niners. We both got Niners over Kansas City Chiefs, America's Game of the Week. And we're gonna check out Raw. We're gonna check out Monday Night Football. Cortez, any final thoughts before we close out today's episode?
Hey guys, as always, make sure that you do your best to take care of the people around you, and don't let anybody tell you that you can't have fun doing things that you like. If you like doing it and it doesn't hurt anybody, enjoy it. Especially when it comes to watching wrestling, you're missing out if you're not.
100%. We were going to close out on that note. Once again, thank you all. 50,200 subscribers. Not subscribers, I apologize. 50,200 views, 120 subscribers. The mighty. Appreciate y'all. Continue subscribing. Continue sharing.
We've gone a long way from the initial 16, didn't we?
Yes, we did. 16 to 120, and from what? From 3,000 views of 50, almost 50,000 more. I mean, it's incredible this run has been. I appreciate y'all. My co-host appreciates y'all. Thank you all. Keep watching, keep subscribing. If you can comment, feel free. Keep sharing. Keep helping us grow, and we'll keep making content one way or the other. So thank you all once again. Enjoy the game. Enjoy Monday Night Raw. We'll be back later on this week to recap Raw and talk some more football. But anyways, y'all, that's all for today's episode. Take care, stay safe, God bless, and enjoy your week.
Oh, you missed